Now, when I think about copywriting, I usually think about like Mad Men.
And we do that. We're just not like smoking cigars and drinking whiskey in suits. Welcome to the We Are Slam show, where we share marketing insights, best practices, and ideas to help your brand or business grow. My name is Tyler Kelly. I'm here with my co-host, Michael T. Johnson. We are the co-founders of Slam Agency in St. Louis and Miami. And today we're talking about copywriting mastery.
And we're specifically going to talk about copywriting for the web. Now, when I think about copywriting, I usually think about like Mad Men. That's what comes to mind. Those people that are like sitting there crafting these great lines that are going to sell millions of dollars worth of stuff.
And we do that. We're just not like smoking cigars and drinking whiskey in suits.
But copywriting really is extremely important. And I think it's really important because in marketing, especially online, there's a lot of trends, and you can fall victim to like chasing the latest trends. But really, copywriting and the basics of advertising really haven't changed in the last 100 years. For one, because human psyche doesn't really change. It's constant. So what worked 100 years ago is still going to work today, especially in copywriting. The other thing is marketing fundamentals haven't really changed. They all still act the same. We've just changed the medium. So, back then we had, let's say in the 1900s, we had a lot of radio. Later on, we had TV, a lot of print, a lot of writing, signage. The same techniques that people use for copy are the same techniques that people still use today on the web.
Yeah, so the copy techniques are still effective. It's just the medium or the channels where they're used that aren't as effective today.
So I do have an example of this. I think it's pretty interesting. So like all those like really clickbaity titles that you read for like BuzzFeed articles where like it's like woman does this and you won't believe what happens next. Or things like that. Like you see those clickbaity headlines everywhere. So I think the really interesting thing about that style of copywriting is it actually originated in the early 1900s by a guy named John Caples. So the way that he was writing copy for mail order ads was very similar to the way that we see copy on the web today. So it just goes to show that effective copy hasn't really changed at all in the last century.
So we're going to give you 5 keys to becoming a master copywriter. That's if you want to make money off of writing on the web or promoting, selling a product on the web or service. Like you have to master these 5 areas. And the first is to know that copywriting is not about being creative, but it's about converting.
Creative might be the wrong word because a lot of times I think when we think creative, we think like, especially in writing, like flowery, adjective heavy, things like that. But really, creativity is like the process that you use to actually create something that's effective as well. So when we think effective, what's like the least amount of words that I can get straight to the point that's going to help somebody convert with whatever it is I write? Not the most flowery, beautiful thing that draws attention to itself, but you forget like 2 seconds later what it was.
So the second key when we're thinking about writing for online is how people consume copy online, how they read web pages, how they scan their phones. And that's the key. They scan, right? So I think that it's 90% of people do not read on the internet. People do not read like you would read in a book or something like that or a newspaper. They don't read on the internet. They scan copy looking for words, looking for elements that indicate that where they are is relevant to what they are looking for.
Now, you've heard us talk about this before. Your headline is important, and then writing copy that, like you said, easily scannable, but usually it's a sentence at a time, takes you down the page, and just brings the reader along in small chunks. So scannable copy.
Number 3, you have to know who you're writing for. You're never going to convert a reader of your content if they're not reading. If they're not reading, it means it's not relevant to them.
The people you're writing to really are buyer personas, but you have to write to them as a singular person. And I think it even helps to name them. Like whenever I write something or whenever I make a video and I'm speaking to someone on camera, I try to like picture a specific person, know them by name, and talk to that person. I think it just gets you in the right frame of mind to know that that person feels like they're being talked to directly.
Yeah, the best way to communicate online, it is as if you're communicating to just one person. Don't try to write to thousands of people, because then that's the kind of copy that people ignore. But if it's written in a way that says, hey, you need to hear this. This is for you. You notice this you. That's one of the secrets to our writing, right? We're always saying you. And we use a lot of we too, because we don't just personally, it's on our brand to say I. But it's got to be personal and written just to that one person. Next up, USP. You have to know what makes your offer, your product, your service unique. So USP stands for unique selling proposition. You might also come across the phrase value proposition, right? But what is it that makes your product or service unique? And by unique, we mean different from anything else that's out there that could potentially be a competitor to your product or service.
Yeah, and this may be an oversimplification, but you've seen these Venn diagrams with the circles, and there's the circle for like what you do. There's a circle here. This is what's important to your customer or the person you're speaking to. And there's this other circle that's your customers aren't addressing it. Your competitors aren't addressing it. And in the middle, that's your unique selling proposition. Now, it's probably a little more complicated than just drawing those circles, but that's a good place for you to start.
Yeah, and think about let's say you're in, home services or something like that. And let's just say you're a plumber and there's 10 other plumbing companies in town. Go to their websites and look at all the different ways that they're describing their businesses, like what their key features and benefits are. And basically any words that they're using more than once, don't use it all in any of your copy or writing, because what's going to happen is it's any words that are used multiple times throughout the industry that you're in are words that readers just glaze over.
Yeah,
so don't use them.
Yeah, and I think even to add on to that, there's this concept in copywriting of being specific. So if your unique selling proposition or your benefits to your customers are general, they're going to tune them out. The more specific you can be about those USPs, those benefits, the more effective it's going to be for the reader.
And finally, we're talking about writing online, and the purpose for your writing is to create a conversion opportunity, is to take somebody from a prospect to a customer, to a client, to a purchaser of your product. And the only way to do that is to ask for the sale. And you have to do that in your writing.
Right. Strong call to action is 100% necessary to get people to convert. Like Tyler said, and if you're in sales, you know this. If you're not asking, you're not making the sale. The same goes for anything we do online.
What do they say? Ask not, want not, or something like that?
Something like that.
The point is, if you don't ask, you're never going to get what it is that you want.
So those are our 5 tips to help you write amazing copy that helps you make more sales and convert online. Let us know if you have any tips like that, or if you've tried any of these and they're helpful.
And you can do that in the comments. Hit us up on any of the networks where you're listening or watching this podcast. And if this is, your first time tuning in, or you're a longtime listener, longtime viewer, do us a favor, go over to Apple Podcast and rate and review this podcast. We want you to help us get the word out. So like and share and just spread the word. And so if you're looking for an amazing copywriter, that's one of the services that we provide here at Slam for our clients and our customers. So if you're looking for a team that can do that, as well as put you in the right places online in front of the right people with the right message, hit us up. Go to slamagency.com and click free consultation. We'll be happy to have a conversation. Thank you for tuning in.
Thanks for watching. If you like what you just watched, subscribe, then hit that bell. You'll be the first to be notified when new content goes live. After that, you can watch more videos from Slam Agency. We've picked something we think you'll love.